What's right, country people? Ananta here, and welcome back to Dead or Alive Ultimate. In the last one, we discussed Bayman's role in the story and what I feel about him gameplay-wise. In this one, we're gonna be playing as probably my worst character. I want to say, if not relegated to specifically Dead or Alive Ultimate, then definitely to probably the entire series. And this video will definitely illustrate that, because man, this was the one time that the AI was jacked up to 11. We're playing Lei Fong. Now, well, Lei Fong or Lei Fang. They actually changed the pronunciation multiple times in the series. Anyway, let's start off with her bio, or at the very least with her little blurb in the manual. Lei Fong is an impulsive yet determined prodigy of Tai Chi Quan. Don't let her sweet smile fool you. She may look like an angel, but she's got a devilish determination to prove her strength. Her confidence was shaken just once. Several years ago, Lei Fong was challenged by a gang of street fighters. She was prepared to take them on single-handedly, but a boy wearing a dragon emblem suddenly jumped to her rescue. If there's one thing she hates, it's someone assuming that she can't handle things on her own. Disney left her determined to find and destroy and defeat that boy and anyone standing in her way. You better keep your eyes on her at all times. So, right there, you pretty much learn most of what you need to know about Lei Fong's character. They add a few things later on in the series, but as of right now, the only reason why she's in the Dead or Alive tournament is purely because she was rescued by a specific individual one time in her life. That individual is Jen Lee. Yes, the same Jen Lee who likes to act like he's Bruce Lee. Now, we'll get into that when we get into that, but I want to go ahead and just kind of mention right off the bat that since I am so terrible playing Lei Fong, I'm just going to go ahead and say that I cannot give any good tips or good ideas on how to play her character. If I had to go off of just my experience playing the character over the years, I would have to say that she is a technical character. I would say she's one of the more advanced characters to play. And I think you only pick her up if you really, truly know what you're doing. At least that's what I'm going off of. But I have nothing to really base that off of in terms of my experience with the character. I highly recommend going over to professional, like EVO level players to really get an idea of how they play the character, if you want a better idea of what to do, or jump into training mode. Training mode is different reason, and it does help. As you are bringing up training mode, I might as well go ahead and mention this now. I do appreciate, with regards to, I believe Dead or Alive 2 started this, that there is a training mode that encourages you to play each character, and what it does is it has their specific individual movesets laid out that the game requires you to know and get through before you can move on. Like unless you get the move done precisely, it won't let you advance. And I kind of like that because it encourages you to really practice the move. Going from there, going back to Lei Fong. We'll get more into that mode later on when we get into later games. Well, here we are right here facing Jen Lee, and as you're about to see, I'm going to get my butt handed to me in quite a few of these fights. I was debating cutting them out, but I just want to kind of emphasize just how random your time with Dead or Alive is going to be. There is actually one moment inside this video where I get so frustrated that you see me pop the Xbox 360 screen dashboard, because I am playing this on the 360 just because I just prefer playing fighting games with the 360 controller, especially the one I got that allows you to adjust the D-pad to be more fighting game oriented, so you have a little bit more precision control. But man, oh man, there was a point in this particular run where I was just so frustrated with the losing. And I was debating on restarting the recording or just editing it down, but ultimately I decided to show it off because there are a couple of characters in the game that consistently give me trouble when the AI decides that it is time to take the kid gloves off. Those characters being Zhongli, Tina. Believe it or not, Tina is one of the ones that will give you one of the hardest times in the game. Genfu and Kasumi. I would say Tina and Kasumi, if the AI is being particularly mean that day, will definitely run your fade. Just keep that in mind going forward. Now, back to Lei Fang. So I want to start off by saying, you see in the upper left corner, you see that Lei Fang's name is divided to where it makes you think her first name is Lei and her last name is Fang. Or at the very least, there's a hyphen there that makes you think that's supposed to be like, you know, it's a hyphenated name. In later games, they completely dropped this. They completely dropped this. I believe in Dead or Alive 2, I think Dead or Alive 2, they pronounce her name Lei Fang, but 3 onwards, I think they pronounce it Lei Fang. Lei Fang altogether. It's not like Lei Fang or Lei Fang, it's Lei Fang, you know, that kind of thing. That's what the hyphens usually form to the pronunciations. And I don't know why they changed it. Because I kind of preferred the hyphenated version of her name. Even though I'm used to it being pronounced and spelled as one whole word, I kind of prefer it when it's hyphenated. But it's a superfluous thing. I don't know why they made the change. It's just one of those random things they decide to do just to do. Now going from there, Lei Fang pretty much stays that, as far as I can tell, she stays this very like kind of one note, I'm going to prove that I can stand on my own 2 feet kind of character. For the majority of the Dead or Alive series, even when they did Dimensions and they, you know, actually had the character's voice acted, there was a proper story flow, and I think they were following the I have heard that Mortal Kombat 2011, so I think Mortal Kombat 9 technically did the whole, you know, you have a ongoing story where you play as different characters to get an idea what the character's like, but I think Dimensions might have done it first. I'm gonna double check that, check that and give you an update on that one. But for the most part, even when Lei Fang was a voice, yes, I am going to swap between saying Lei Fang and Lei Fang because that's just how my mind works. She kind of comes off as a spoiled brat in terms of the in terms of her depiction in Dead or Alive 1 or 2, in the Dead or Alive 1 or 2 section of Dimension. She honestly doesn't become a more I guess rounded character until Dead or Alive 3, when they give her a companion character to work off of, rather than just have her going after Jan Lee the entire time. I mean, granted, she never gives up that need to prove that she didn't need his help that day. And so I think up until 5, she still has that in her head, to the point where they pretty much make Jan Lee her arch rival. But she doesn't grow out of that till I think Dead or Alive 3. I mean, because in Dead or Alive 2, most if not all the characters, barring, you know, Bayman, and you know what I have to say about Bayman, pretty much get a more developed character. They get a little bit, well, they also develop character. They get an extra bit of paint, another little detail that makes their character a little bit more interesting in terms of the meta narrative, in terms of the in-game narrative of what's going on, and that kind of, and you know, and that mindset I want to kind of transition into. Well, I say transition, just kind of going off of that. Lei Fang kind of has a similar problem in the Dead or Alive universe that Bayman has, but as opposed to Bayman having you know arguably one of the most important, narratively speaking, moments, well, plot points in the series. Lei Feng is kind of in this awkward position. She's not particularly important because she knows anyone in the main cast. Like, no, because going forward into the game, the main cast of characters consists of, in terms of like what the main narrative of Dead or Alive is, the main cast consists of Kasumi. The next game they'll introduce Ayane, which they retroactively crowbar into this game, but that's only the hardcore version, which is the PlayStation 2 version of Dead or Alive. Don't know why, it's just something they did. So it's Kasumi, Ayane, Hayate, somewhat Ryu, but not really, and you know, I'll circle back around to that in a second here, and Helena Douglas, which is the daughter of Fame Douglas, and she gets introduced in number 2. And yeah, Lei Feng is only really important, and well, I'm not saying important. I would say Lei Feng's tangentially important, or at the very least, she's in this kind of awkward situation that Bayman's in. Not because she actively does anything to contribute to the plot, but mostly because of who her companion character is. And we'll get a little bit more into it in Dead or Alive 3 when she makes her proper fighting game debut. But she's partnered up with a character named Hitomi. Hitomi in the canon is known to be the one who finds a amnesiac Hayate, and that's her claim to fame. Not even making that up. And it's just kind of weird from my perspective. Let me just double check to make sure I got this right, because I believe it is Dead or Alive 3 that she first gets introduced into. I don't believe she shows up in 2 at all, if my memory serves correct. I think 2 has a. I'm trying to remember because I'm not going to lie. As much as I do enjoy 2, its story kind of eludes me, because what's going on in 2, for all intents and purposes, is superfluous to what's going on in 3. Like, I would argue that 2 is more or less to set up what 3 is and ultimately get us into 4. But even with that setup, it doesn't do a whole lot. And yeah, I'm pretty much right about that. I think 2 is mostly the series showing off its new graphical fidelity, going from 1 to 2. So it doesn't put too much of an emphasis on the narrative, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But what it is, there is still enjoyable. It's basic arcade fun. But yeah, no. Getting back to Lei Feng. Yeah, she's mostly there just to kind of give the arcade mode or the arcade mode, because it still doesn't have like a proper structured story mode until like arguably 4. Definitely 5. That's definitely when that happens. But she's mostly there just to ground the story with a little bit of lighthearted fun. Because as you can tell with the fact that they have 6 characters of the roster, and granted, it's a small number when you really look at it, contributing to a very, well, I won't say serious, but to a ongoing narrative that's supposed to have twists and turns and all these dramatic intrigues. The Lei Feng is just pretty much there to give us a moment to breathe, moment to relax, moment to just enjoy, without her going too far into the realm of goofball like Zack does. Because oh my goodness, Zack at the end, like as the series goes on, he just gets ridiculous. But yeah, no, that's pretty much how I feel about her as a character. Going forward, if they ever do have a soft reboot of Dead or Alive, not along the lines of what they did to Mortal Kombat in recent years, because oh yeah, you look at that. Ginfu just messes me up in this one, but it's nowhere near as egregious as what happens in the next match. If they do a soft reboot, which I think at this point in the game, Dead or Alive is kind of due for a soft reboot, given that Team Ninja or Koei Tecmo, whoever's in charge, really wants to try to cut down on the sex appeal and really make it a more serious game. I mean, well, I say cut down 6. We'll get to 6. Don't worry, we'll get to 6. I know 5 they were trying to do it. I remember there was a controversy where they were trying to ban sexualized or overly sexy costumes at tournament. Well, not banned. They requested that they not be used. I won't say banned. They requested that players avoid using skimpy or overly sexy costumes when you in tournament play, and people lost their mind over it. And when we get to 5, I'll dive more into that. But going off it right now, it's very clear that I think Team Ninja wants to do more serious storytelling. And I mentioned it in a previous part. I can't remember which part it was. That they want to do a serious story with the ninjas. I think they should revisit Code Chronos and try to spin that off into the main series games. Have that be the main series narrative, and then have the Dead or Alive games kind of be this fun side story. I would like to see if they bring back Lei Fang, have us flesh her out a little bit more, and have her have something beyond just wanting to beat Jan Li, or at least prove to him that she doesn't need his help. Because I'm gonna let you know right now, when we get around to Jan Li does not care one way or the other what people think about him or what he does. He just does whatever because he can, and he only wants to fight strong opponents. Like up until 5, he saw, I think, Ryu Hayabusa from the Ninja Gaiden series as his arch enemy, and Ryu could honestly care less about him. I think he just indulges him just because. But for the most part, Jan Li only wants to fight skilled combatants. I think that's just how he rolls. He does have motivations beyond that, and we'll get into that later when we get to his section. But for the most part, Lei Fang is trying to impress someone that really doesn't care about her. Not in terms of like, oh, he hates her. Or, it's like he passed by what he did what he thought was a good deed and then just dipped. That was literally it. He wasn't doing it to be macho man. He was doing it to be like, I'm going to say the damage of the best, because he didn't even ask for like anything in return. He just literally beat the punks up and then walked out. That's literally what he did. And, you know, Lei Fang being as prideful as she is, she didn't like that. So I think we should, I wouldn't mind seeing that, have that be like a side of her to show like her character flaw of being prideful, but have us like show a little bit more of her character in the side. If they were to do arcade stories, like, and granted it would be a lot of work to do, and I would like to see this happen with more fighting games, personally speaking, where they have a main story, but then you do like an arcade mode, and then it's like a mini narrative for those characters within that arcade mode. I think that would be interesting to see. Or at the very, very least, have the story mode be elongated, or have us spend more time playing as the character in that story mode and have that be the fleshed out section of their story. I don't know how you go about doing it, and admittedly this is something that I literally only thought about in the last 2 to 3 days. I'll get back to you on that one. But yeah, I would like to see that. I would like to see that. Fun fact about Lei Fang, just as a bit of a side note here. When Dead or Alive Extreme 3 was being scandalized back in the day, yes, I do have a copy of that game. No, I am not sorry, and no, I do not care. I have fun playing it. I remember when the game came out, they had a poll for people to vote on which characters they'd like to see in the Dead or Alive 3 roster. And I believe later she got added in as DLC, but Lei Feng lost the vote. And so she was not included in the initial release of Dead or Alive Extreme 3. And I'm not going to lie, when I heard about that, I'm like, why did you pick that to a vote? Like, the Extreme line of games, I know I'm going on a bit of a tangent here, but the Extreme series of video games, the beach volleyball games, are not that intensive. They're really not. I mean, the volleyball mechanics have been sound. As far as I have noticed, they have not changed since the first game. And everybody, when the first game came out, back before people were being a bunch of freaking prudes, Dead or Alive Extreme got a 4 out of 5. Because the gameplay was that tight. Like, people legitimately said the volleyball is legitimately fun. It's not until 2 came out where like, yeah, we don't really want to get us a high score, so we'll just say that the volleyball wasn't improved upon much. And no, the volleyball was not improved upon much, but they compensated that by adding a whole bunch of mini games into the Extreme games. The same thing with 3, and they gave you a whole bunch of sites to do to make it feel like you're doing like an actual vacation and whatnot. I don't mind the Extreme series of games, but I think that those should be a once in a while kind of thing, or have that be included. Like, I honestly think what they should do going forward. I know this is a bit of a tangent, going on a bit of a tangent in Lei Feng's version of the story, but I literally is also all I'm going to say about her. At least right now, I want to save some of that stuff for when we get to 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. I think if they're going to keep doing the Extreme series of games, I think they should do a soft reboot of the Extreme series of games. Yes, we should still have the volleyball, at least at least just for like for fun mode, you know. But I think if you're going to go to Zack Island, I think instead of having to be like volleyball and the jet ski, I think it was the volleyball, the jet ski, the pool hopping, which has been in since the first game. And I'm going off of 2 right now because I don't remember all the ones from 3. It was the volleyball, the pool hopping, pool hop race game, the jet skis, and the tug of war and the butt battle. I think what they should do is kind of mix it up and have us do like a racing kind of game. Granted, I am a racing game fanatic and I would love to play a racing game any day of the friggin' week, so take that how you will. But I would like to see something like, okay, so a bit of a concept. There was this Android game. It was on the Android. It was out a few years back. I think it got taken off the Android marketplace. It was called Drift Girls, and in it you would play as this character. It's pretty much a dating sim kind of thing. But you had these girls that you would essentially have in your passenger seat while you're racing that would cheer you on. As you're racing against opponents, doing these drifts, and trying to get these perfect, modes. I wouldn't mind seeing that in the next like spin-off game. Kind of give the volleyball series a break, because at this point you've done it 3 times in a row. With the 3rd game, you added this pseudo dating sim element to it. I say why not just have it be like a racing game with like we have the Dead or Alive girls be your rally racers. And conversely, like have like modes where you're the rally racer for the girls, like you're cheering them on while they're racing. Like, I wouldn't mind seeing something like that, just to kind of mix it up a bit. If you're going to have like the fan service like that, I mean, I say go all the way. I think go all the way and make it like that, you know. Or maybe have it be where like that's like a sub event on the island where they're having the volleyball tournament. Tournament. That's in quotations there. That was just a ruse Zach used to get the girls on the island. Trust me, that's a whole thing in and of itself. But I just think that it would be, I think it would be in the series' best interest to kind of have a different side game to use. I'm not certain how well Team Ninja would be able to do a racing game. if they did, it shouldn't be just a regular racing game, you know. I wouldn't want to see something along the lines of combat racing like Jack X. I'd like to see something that's like a mix of Burnout 3 and Sonic Riders, where you have this really goofy, over-the-top story mode that has maybe some stakes to it. It's just kind of there for fun. But you're mostly aimed at swapping paint, doing tricks and stuff. And maybe mix it. No, wait. I got it. I would do a mixture of Burnout 3 and Need for Speed Most Wanted. That would be interesting to see. Like it would fit in with the stylization of Dead or Alive, Ninja Gaiden universe, and it would be just over the top and ridiculous enough that it would work. And I would pre-order that game. I would pre-order two copies of that game. I'm not gonna lie. If they have one for the Switch, get one for the Switch, and then get one for my get one for whatever console I'm getting it on. And I would just play the mess out of it. That's what I would do. That's what I would do if you're gonna do a side Switch game. I'm sorry. It's a bit of a tangent here, going off on Leif's story, but yeah, no. And how did we get on this? Right, Leif wasn't in the original release of Dead or Alive Extreme 3. Go figure. They had her in a DLC later on, but yeah, no, I would love to see like a racing game with these characters. You don't have to bring in like the entire male roster. I think some of them would be okay. I'm not certain if Genfu would be able to do. Then again, they do have Boxing Grandpa Genfu inside later games as an alternate costume. Like they have that old man in speedos. It is ridiculous. So yeah, even the guys get sexualized too. It's not just a one-way street. It's just that the girls have more of them than guys do, because I think I want to say it was the guy who was drawing the Pokemon manga, the hentai artist that was drawing the Pokemon manga years ago, like when Pokemon first came out, and he drew Misty, a 13-year-old, like she was endowed like Dolly Parton. I don't even know what was going on there. Or Hitomi Tanaka, for anybody who knows who that individual is. And I think what he said was girls are just more fun to customize. I think that was literally what he said. And it was, and I'm not gonna lie, it's like, on the one hand, I don't think you can get away with saying that nowadays, but on the other hand, I get what he's saying. I get what he's saying, you know. But yeah, no, I mean, it would just be interesting to have that kind of dynamic going forward if they were to do a soft reboot of Dead or Alive. I do hope that going forward, because I think Dead or Alive is due for a soft reboot pretty soon. Best due of how Dead or Alive 6 ended. I'm hoping for a Soul Calibur 6 style reboot, because Soul Calibur 5 was just not a good idea on Bandai's part. But I do hope that they don't get rid of the style that made Dead or Alive the way it is. I do hope they do keep some of the sexual aspects of it, because even though I will be the first one to admit it has gotten a little out of hand in recent years. I would say starting with 5, it got a little bit more out of hand. I don't mind. I like that they had fans design character costumes, but I hope they tone it back a bit, but still retain it, so that way when people think of Dead or Alive, they still think of it as this really good fighting game that it genuinely is. Like Dead or Alive, for all of its faults, for all of the things people say about it, it is a genuinely good fighting game. Anyway, I'll catch you later.